when you're supposed to run a play for a guy and he don't go as hard as he should for the action.
Yeah.
That's what Hubie was telling you. Like, oh, okay, I tried to run a single double for this guy. I tried to run a flare for him in 3 games. He got stolen once and he didn't get open the other 2. Like,
what's up, everybody? We are back. Another week, another R2C2. Still quarantined.
Still quarantined, safe at home.
Rest of the country's opening up, but you know, we'll wait for the Northeast, right? You know, see how the rest of the country does first.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let them be the guinea pigs. Is that what you're saying, Steve?
Basically.
Oh man, you know.
Nah, it's good though. I'm back to like normal life this week. My little C's back to baseball. Like,
really, baseball's back.
They're starting. They're doing like social distancing on the field where he plays. Down at Diamond Nation, they have an amazing complex. So
nice.
They can get the kids out there and have like 4 kids on one field, have them take BP and all that stuff. So we're getting back to some normal type of life. So it's been good this week.
Well, you know, one of the things I think that is always severely underrated I mean, obviously, I'm saying with these type of things, and really it's a unique type of thing we're dealing with, but anything new is the fact that it's new. Like, you're always uncovering more knowledge, right? You don't know. So, like, you know, just the idea of us learning more and more, like, oh, the transmissibility outdoors is very, very low, you know, or CDC
like it
saying,
doesn't hang around on surfaces that long as we thought.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say, see, exactly, 100%. And so, you know, all of a sudden you realize, like, oh, okay, like, there are some things I can do that maybe at first I thought I couldn't, you know, and now I'm like, oh no, this isn't me being negligent. This is me operating within that, you know, safe prism, but it's more than I thought it was, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm glad that he's back out playing baseball, man. That's fun.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, they start the season and I get to travel with them. You know, there's no minor league season, so I won't have to like be out on the road in the minor league, so I'll be able to like travel with him all summer. So I'm looking forward to that. It should be fun.
Oh, that's good, man. That's good. I'm glad to hear that. See, what do you think? Are we going to have baseball here, man? I mean, let me not even frame it like that. What to you, if you're a player, and you're looking at this, because you kind of can look at both sides now, being retired and also, you know, being a part of the Yankees organization, but you obviously first and foremost have been a player for a long time. Baseball's, you know, going through these negotiations. What to you would be your biggest concern as a player, you know, with what you've been hearing, reading, etc.?
I think for me, later in my career, it would have been, you know, it would be my family. And, you know, if my family can come to wherever we're going to start and if they're going to be safe and, you know, if I'm going to be safe, obviously being in the baseball clubhouse for so long, you know how quick like viruses and, you know, colds and different things can spread. So, you know, me, and that's just me. Like, I'm a germaphobe, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's just me being, you know, extra. So, I mean, I will be pretty concerned. But, you know, if they can get the testing right and, you know, make sure guys are safe, you know, I would be all for coming back as long as, you know, like I said, the financial part is right too. You know, this is a tough situation that I feel like the players are in and even the owners too. I mean, I think everybody's in a tough situation, but you know, it will have a lot of things will have to be a lot different than what I'm hearing right now for me to get out there and play.
You know, one thing I always think too, man, and this is the part of it where social media can be frustrating, I think, is, you know, you're seeing the cake being made and the batter's just being mixed, and you're saying, well, where's the made cake? Like, this isn't a made cake. You know, I mean, it takes some time, right? Negotiations, it's a process, right? And like with the way social media is now, and obviously both sides will also use this to their advantage or try to, right? But, you know, as a fan, just consuming it with maybe the only goal in mind being getting the sport back, you know, it can be frustrating because you're saying like, oh my gosh, like they're at an impasse, nothing's going right. But then you also have to remember, well, a lot of times that's exactly where you are at this stage of a negotiation. You know, you wouldn't know about it if it wasn't being leaked to the press. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like the owners have been using the media a lot more. if that, just leaking that they had a proposal and blah, 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 blah. Like just the way that they've kind of been positioning themselves, I feel like it's put the players in a bad position,
It's
But,
so hard to know.
They
too,
are
right?
at a negotiation, and they do have the CBA coming. Nobody wants to hear all of that stuff, though. You know what I'm saying? Because we've just been missing sports, and we want to get it back on. But as a player, I understand too. I mean, working in the front office too, I understand now too how owners want to make money.
Yeah.
Players want to make money too. So I hate to make it about that at this time. When we're going through something like that like this in the country, but. I mean, it kind of is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, to me, it's just there are harsh realities, right? Both are facing, first and foremost, just trying to come up with something that feels adequate safety-wise, right? Like that is a huge undertaking regardless.
I mean, even just what we were talking about before we came on the air, talking, do the Yankees come here? Do the Mets come to go to Queens? Do they stay down in Florida? Like,
right.
And even like that puts teams at like, if the Yankees got to be in Tampa all year, that puts them at a disadvantage. It's hot as fuck down there. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't want to be playing games in the middle of the summer in fucking Florida.
No, man.
Like outside, I'm sorry. Like,
and you don't want to be playing them inside at the Trop because the Trop is the Trop.
You don't want people playing inside the fucking Trop either. Like, so it seems like it's a lot to be worked out. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and that's my thing, man. Where like I'm looking at this and maybe. Maybe it's also like kind of a different thought process for years in these labor disputes, but I feel like it's not easy for either side. There isn't an obvious, like victim or good side. Like this is really difficult for both because if you're the owners, you're looking at it and you're saying, well, we are losing a massive amount of revenue that we normally would get from being in the park. And if you're a player, you're saying, well, hold on a second, especially from the latest leaked tier system of payment where let's say the, $35 million player would only be getting, 20% or 25% of their pay. You're looking at it and you're saying, whoa. I'm going to risk, myself.
It's just as much, if you play 82 games, it's just as much risk as going out there and in 15 starts, you can get hurt just like you can in 30 starts. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And you probably even got a higher chance of getting hurt now that we started up, stopped, and then going to start back up again. You know what I'm saying? So
and those are reasonable
I would understand
concerns.
Guys wanting their money. I would understand guys wanting their money.
Exactly, and that's my thing. See, I can look at both sides and say, like, I get it. Like, yeah, I get it. Owners, you don't want to, like, lose money the entire season, and that's what you'd be facing if you pay guys their full salaries based on not. And if I'm a player, I'm like, well, hold on a second. I'm putting myself more at risk, and And by the way, it's just not hard for me to stomach, a 70% pay cut or whatever it might be.
Do you think that the NFL will have this problem or no? Because it's a lot of TV revenue.
I think it will be less of a problem because of that.
Because of the TV, right?
Yeah, I do. Such a huge portion of their revenue comes from television that I think it will be, I think it'll be easier for them to figure it out, than.
And you can even like stagger games, even so if you don't have fans in the stands, you could even like instead of 2 games or 3 games on CBS, you can put all of the AFC games. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, you could if you want to get creative like that. Or let's say college football wasn't coming back until the spring and you wanted to play on Saturdays and Sundays.
That's true.
I don't think they're going to do that, but you could.
I think honestly by the fall, I feel like we may not be like at full capacity at stadiums, but I feel like fans will be back in the stands and they'll be playing football.
I'm feeling more optimistic about that too. See, I am.
And like I said, because of the kids starting to play and stuff like that, I mean, I feel pretty good about them starting up in the fall.
Yeah, we may get a rude awakening in a couple weeks after things have been a little more sufficiently reopened, and if you see. Significant spikes and whatnot, but you may not, you may not. And let's hope we don't, because that would be great. But I guess my overall thought with baseball is this, man, like this is a great time for the sport to capture the attention of people. Right. And I just think that ultimately, even if right now there are particulars that seem daunting, it'll get worked out for that reason. Like, I feel like the bigger picture will help guide them when they need to be guided.
Yeah, but as we sitting here on May 27th, cuz like how much baseball can you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
I know.
they need to be in a spring training by like mid-June.
Yeah, I know.
At least to start, you know what I'm saying? Cuz you got to start by July 4th.
They're at a
I feel like
significant
anything later than July 4th, like,
yeah.
what are we even doing? Like, that's the summer schedule.
They're at a significant disadvantage compared to the other sports, the four
Yeah.
major sports in our country, right? Because, I mean, hockey and basketball have played the vast majority of their regular seasons, and football doesn't have
It's
to
coming
start
up.
their stuff, until the fall. Like,
But
baseball's the one who gets
we're
screwed the
eating
most.
up days. Yeah,
Yeah.
we should be playing. Like, Monday was a big day. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, Memorial Day is a huge day for MLB. Like,
Yeah, man.
so we should be a third into the fucking season right now. And that's what sucks.
Well,
is
see,
that, we sitting here talking about money and blah, 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 but they should be a third into the season, which is crazy.
you know what's funny, man, is I'm reading a book on negotiating right now called Never Split the Difference.
I read that.
You
I
did?
read that last month. Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow,
good.
dude. That's
we had
funny,
a
man.
Zoom. We had a Zoom with the author.
With Chris Voss?
With Chris Voss, yeah.
It
was pretty dope.
that is awesome.
So
You did
we
that
all
as a
read the
team?
book and then he came on and did it. No. This is
Oh.
a bunch of guys that a bunch of my friends.
Wow.
So we all read the book and then we came on and he did a Zoom with us. It was incredible. He's really good.
That's awesome.
Like
Dude,
even if
he'd
you
be-
look up his TED Talks on YouTube, it's good.
He'd be great on the pod, man.
He would be good on the pod. He would.
We should try and make that happen. It's funny because,
Yeah.
like, I'm loving the book. I'm about halfway through.
Nice.
And it's funny because now I'm thinking of these techniques when I'm thinking about like labor disputes. I'm like,
But not even that, just like everyday life. Like when
Yeah.
I'm negotiating with my kids or my wife and shit, like you're negotiating all the time.
yeah,
you know
right,
what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
yeah, and even like he came on to the Zoom and he was just saying like the way he frames questions. Like he always frames questions to get a no, but the no is really a yes. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the way he can flip shit is insane. Like it was sick. That book was awesome.
I love that, man, because I just read that chapter on like getting to know. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like how I love the example you use a telemarketer, how like not every yes is the same. Telemarketer asks you like, do you drink water? Yes. Like, do you have a home? Yes. Like those yeses aren't good yeses. They're like,
Yeah.
punting-
Those are no's.
yeah, they're no's. Yeah. They're like, please leave. All you want is the commitment yes. And if you start with no, if you get them to say no, well, now you're empowering them and they're more open. And also, where
Yep.
your starting point is. And I'm like,
Nah, it was insane to hear him explain it though.
yeah.
Even more so than in the book was crazy.
It's
Like,
awesome.
It was
We
dope.
got to try and get him on sometime. It's great.
Yeah, for sure.
But
For
it's
sure.
funny, man, because like I'm totally thinking, I'm doing it in my everyday life already. Like, and then I'm also thinking about it with these labor negotiations, like, which also reminded me. We'll get to Jalen Rose in a moment. So excited for you guys to hear Jalen with us. Did you watch Waco on Netflix?
Oh yeah, I did watch Waco. Yeah, me and Amber watched that. That was crazy.
Oh my gosh, man.
Yeah, that was wait, did we watch that?
Waco,
Yeah, we watched
the
it. We
girl,
watched it. Yeah,
the girl
yeah.
from Ozarks.
Yeah,
in it.
and
Yeah.
the guy's got the house down the street and
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
We
exactly.
watched it. It was
cr-
insane.
powerful and upsetting and amazing. But the head negotiator there, he used to be Chris Voss's boss. The head negotiator from that show was Chris Voss's boss in a crisis
know that. I
negotiation.
didn't know that.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
I did the audiobook actually.
Oh, nice, man.
Which was good. Like, I mean,
Yeah, did
that
he
was-
read it himself in the
No,
audiobook?
he didn't.
Okay.
He didn't read it himself. That was that was the second book I did audiobook. I did Can't Hurt Me by what's that guy? David Goggins. I did his audiobook.
Oh, I love
But in
David Goggins.
between-
Yeah.
In between each chapter, he breaks down with the guy that read it, like what he was thinking and everything. So it's almost like listening to a podcast. It was super dope.
Oh, that's
His book
awesome,
is
man.
good.
That
Yeah.
Goggins did that with his
David
book?
Goggins
Oh,
did that with his book. Yeah.
Nice, man.
Yeah.
I've seen Goggins on Rogan a bunch of times, and I'm like, this guy's amazing, man.
He's
like,
fucking insane.
he's a
cuz.
beast, man. Just a
He's
beast.
he's an animal. His mind is crazy.
Oh, it's crazy, man. Hey, we'll have to have a book pod at some point, Go
Right,
through
for
all
sure.
I've been reading like crazy during this period. Anyway, man, I know we're excited for our guest today. You're a big Jalen Rose guy because of the Fab
Big Jalen
Five.
Rose fan. Yep.
He's my colleague, always shouting out my suits and giving me double R love on NBA ESPN Fridays, which I love. So So here is our good friend, Jalen Rose. Jalen's got a professional setup. This is how you know he's been a media maven for a while. Look at that background he's got there, man.
The background, it looks like a Zoom background that you put up. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. Like this is an option in one of the tabs. You can get Jalen's background.
I got lucky because Jalen and Jacoby, this was kind of the flavor of the background. And since we were fortunate enough to go to ESPN, they actually allowed me to replicate it. So I was like, all right, cool. You got to keep it consistent. So it worked out pretty good.
Now, you know what's crazy is I want to say that when we started this podcast and we like tried to frame what we wanted our show to be like, and I was like Jalen and Jacoby, you know what I'm saying? Like that flavor that y'all have on the show works. And me being down there at the Seaport all the time, that was like the most enjoyable time getting to go on y'all's show. So I'm a big fan of Jalen and Jacoby.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate the love.
Man, Jalen, you're a busy man. I mean, even during this period of time, has it felt more or less busy than normal for you?
Yesterday, gents, I was just telling myself I schedule more stuff working from home than when I'm in and out of the house. Yeah. I'm like, I don't realize it takes time to transition. Like right before I was doing this, I was doing something else. As a matter of fact, with one of your Oakland brothers, CC, Dame Lillard. He came on the show today. So it was like, okay, you know, we're going to do a pod for X amount of time. And it seems like from minute to minute to minute, I'm scheduling stuff. So I'm doing Get Up. So tomorrow, I have Get Up. I have First Take. I have Jalen and Jacoby. I'm doing something with The Athletic. I'm doing NBA Countdown. And tonight I'm doing Sports Center.
You know what's crazy is you can't say no because everything's canceled. You ain't got nowhere to go. Everybody know you home.
Right. Before you used to look down and see the 860 number and like, I'm out the building. You can slide on out and hit it back 24 hours later, but now they know you sitting still.
Oh, my gosh. Hey, that's how we hunt down our podcast guests, too, right now, man. It's like, we know you're there. We know it. Hey, I mean, I see the Michigan helmet behind you, Jalen, and it's funny. C and I were talking about you, you know, just before you were coming on, and the first thing C said was like, Fab Five, man. He just loved the Fab Five.
That's love.
Growing up, man. Like, I mean, C, you love those. You love that team.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up, so when they were freshmen, I was in the 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? So that was just like, you know, me, like Jalen being a lefty, me being a lefty, like that was my favorite squad. You know what I'm saying? They had the long shorts with the black socks and the black hoop, you know, and the shoes. Like they was just who you wanted to be. You know what I'm saying?
That's love. And the thing that made it the most fun is that we didn't realize how much we were loved. You guys, I didn't in particular until I went to KMEL Summer Jam Seats, early 90s, right? Wall-to-wall concerts. This one, Hammer was the #1 artist in the world. I was there with Short. I went to Cadillac Club parties.
Nice.
Stuff, right? Players Ball, it's like 50 Cadillacs. Digital Underground, Money B, Shock G, a Young Pac. I was out there on the stage, Spice One. And so I was like, wait a minute. They know who I am. I was bugging because I didn't like have like the proper like bracelet or credential. I was just kind of come like a fan, but I was kind of close. And all of a sudden, cats started recognizing. And before you know it, I'm all the way in the back, and here go EPMD, and here go Naughty by Nature. I'm like, we made it. That was love right there. I wouldn't even think they even knew my name. Like, this is way before social media, as you guys know. And so I didn't know how much they was following college basketball or following us. So to get that love, especially from somebody like you, I appreciate that.
Nah, and you know, we was following college hoop, you know, big time, and you know, especially growing up in the Bay, you know, we big sports area. So, you know, when y'all hit the scene, it was just we all wanted to be just like y'all. It was crazy, it's crazy. And KMEL Summer Jam back in the day was that was it right there.
Classic, right?
Classic.
What, Jalen? What is like? I mean, that's obviously, that might be at the top of the list, so this may end up being a repetitive question, but like, what's the most memorable, I guess, celebrity interaction or another memorable celebrity interaction you could think of, you know, in the aftermath of that, you know, when you did notice, hey, Fab Five is beloved here, you know, we're a show.
Oh, that's easy. So at Detroit Southwestern, they created it was like accelerated classes, and Pepsi was the sponsor, and it was called the Pepsi Challenge. And you had to like get like a 3.5 or something in order to meet a special guest that was coming to the school. And we found out the guest was Magic Johnson. So it was like I couldn't be the star on the basketball team and not go meet Magic Johnson and he in the building. Like, that ain't a good look. And so when I got a chance to not only meet him, but meet him at my high school, but here's the thing, you guys, this was during the period where he was retired. This is after he announced that he had HIV. So this was at a unique part of his life where people didn't know about the medicine and what was going to happen with his health and was he ever going to play again. And so imagine him as great as he is, there clearly was a level of vulnerability in that moment. And so just the gravity of all of it, and I have a picture from that day, that's probably the most memorable interaction for those reasons.
That's a great story, man. Jalen, was there a guy or two who you looked at and you said, this is who I model my game after, or this is who I want to be like when I'm on the floor?
Absolutely. As a youngster, I wanted to try to be like Magic. He was a tall point guard. They didn't exist, and he broke the mold. And at 6'9", and he was from Michigan, and I always wanted to have a goatee like his. That's why I wear mine all the time now. Just because I wanted my goatee like his and Clyde Frazier. And so he was the guy I tried to model my game after, and clearly nobody gets to Magic Johnson level. I'm just happy I made it to the NBA. But other tall point guards that kind of came after always looked up to him. So like Steve Smith, Penny Hardaway. But then it kind of morphed into a point forward from like Paul Pressey, Scottie Pippen, Grant Hill, LeBron James. And so like he was the guy that started making that shift in the game where it was almost like a positionless basketball. So if it was somebody I idolized, it was Magic. Somebody that I loved as a Detroit native that I could never be was George Gervin, because he was just too smooth. He can shoot from deep. And he used to practice that finger roll. He used to come to summer league, and we'd be in the gym, little kids sitting on the bench, like holding his water for him, taking off the top. Here you go, ice, you know. And he'd make like 20 in a row. We just sit there and count them. He just count them. He'd miss them. If it hit the net, if it hit the rim, it don't count. And we like, man, that's what it take to be great. And so those are the two guys. And then lastly, just being a Detroiter, the Bad Boys Pistons and Isaiah Thomas. So when we drafted him in the mid and early 80s, I clearly couldn't have his game or his speed or whatever, but I'm just a diehard Pistons fan.
Man, I understand being deferential to the smoothness of George Gervin, because it is, I get it. It's a different level. It's a different stratosphere of smooth. But what's interesting is, like, in all seriousness, when I think about your game, Jalen, that's the first thing I kind of think about is like you moved with a real, velvety rhythm on the floor. You had a unique smoothness to you. So, okay, maybe we won't give you Gervin smooth, but that was actually how you moved on the floor, don't you think?
I just appreciated one time, and he's Isaiah Thomas's best friend, former teammate, Walker D. Russell. He played in the league, was a longtime executive, and he used to come to the Saint. That's our place where we used to play all of our summer leagues, and that's our holy grail type of thing. And he saw me play, and he started calling me Baby Gerv. I was like, because at first, I used to sign my autographs Dr. J. I'm like, I'm gonna be Dr. J. My first name J. Yeah, that's gonna be me. And then I was like, I can't jump or I ain't athletic as Dr. J. I can't be Dr. J. So yeah, it kind of worked out. I was trying to pattern myself after him. And another guy I tried to pattern myself after was Steve Smith. He was a tall point guard. He had this nice hesitation dribble that I could never try to get, that I used to always practice. And pretty sure you guys remember watching him put in work in the league.
How did the Fab Five come together? Like, how did that start? Like years before, like playing, against or with each other in the summer, or Like, did y'all all end up there? How did that kind of come together?
So it has stages. C-Web and I have been playing together since we were 13 and under on a team called the Super Friends. And our coach was Curtis Hervey. So we played 13 and under together. We went to St. Louis. That year in St. Louis, we lost the rest of Virginia. They had Grant Hill. They had full uniforms. They had sponsors. We was like, oh, they rich.
Wow.
We gonna crush them. We like, oh man, they got money. Their parents was able to come to the road. Like, they got money. We gonna kill them. And we couldn't get the ball across half court. They killed us. We was out trying to hang out 3, 4 in the morning, trying to kick it at 13 years old. And then 15 under, we went to Seattle. We lost the Nationals. Allen Henderson hit a game-winning shot against us in a championship game on the baseline. Ended up going to Indiana. And then we won a national championship for AAU, I think in Tennessee, 17. So we have been friends, neighbors, and playing together every summer at St. Cecilia, whatever. Jawan is from Chicago. And so as you started to become one of the better players, you started playing with and against each other at summer camp. So we were all going to Nike All-American. We were going to BC camp and 5-star camp and all of the camps that were happening. And so you started to make friends. And Jawan was the first person to sign his letter of intent. And so ultimately he became a chief recruiter along with Steve Fisher and Brian Dutcher. It was Jawan on the phone with them, like, y'all need to come. We need to do something special. So when 4 of us was at the McDonald's All-American game, we arranged it with some of our other friends on the team where we can share rooms just separated by a bathroom. And we all just sat up in the room and we just talked about like how we wanted to change the game and how we was going to go undefeated, how he's going to win it every year. Kind of like the Heat, not 5, not 7. Like, yeah, we about to do all of that. Let's make it happen. And so that really is how it formed. And then we rolled on campus. And when you stay in the dorm, you get that kinship. You become roommates and all of that stuff. So then we became brothers and we rolled together as one at that point.
Jalen, the other, one of the other great teams you're a part of has just gotten a whole lot of attention. Last Dance, obviously sparked a million, Twitter debates and stuff. And I'm sure you've gotten sick of it having to discuss every day without question. So don't worry, I'm not going Jordan LeBron or anything like that.
I'm ready for whatever. I'm ready for whatever.
What I'm just wondering is like, what's so fascinating is that Pacer team that took them to 7 that you were a part of. Like, I had forgotten. See, I don't know if you remember, like, I forgot how loaded that team was. Like, I remember watching, but that was a damn good Pacer team. And so, right, see, do you like, when you were watching, we were like, whoa, I forgot, like, how good that Pacer team was? You
know what? I was a little older. I'm a little older than you, so I remember how good they were. Like, I remember Reggie Miller being a threat. Like, I remember him hitting those big shots. Like, obviously, being a teenager in the 90s, like, you grew up a Bulls fan. Like, it just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so, I remember Reggie Miller. Like, I remember those teams being really, really good and as good as those Bulls teams, especially those late Bulls teams.
It's funny, though, because, like, I remember I grew up in New York, so I remember all your guys' battles with the Knicks, obviously. But I never, like, for whatever reason, I didn't remember thinking, like, oh, yeah, you could be on the Bulls level. And then you watch that and you're like, yeah. Like, that team was loaded. Jalen, when you, obviously now it's been brought back to the surface, but when you think back on that team, like, what kind of emotions bubble up and what kind of thoughts?
A couple of things. When you said could have been on the Bulls level, you reminded me of something. In my draft in 1994, I was almost an actual member of the Bulls.
Really?
Jerry Krause called me the night before the draft because they were going to swap picks with Seattle, and Sean Kemp and I were going to go to the Bulls for Scottie Pippen.
Wow.
So one of the things I see is how I knew that he was really unhappy and he didn't get his money. And, like, information wasn't then what it is now and how fluid it is. Yeah. And so understanding how really unhappy he was with his deal and all of that stuff, I'm like, man, that was really about to go down. That's crazy. Like, whoa, Jerry Krause was trying to trade that dude, Like, and so the thing that stands out to me is, and CC, I got to hear your opinion on this. So Michael Jordan, in order to be a six-time champion, six-time finals MVP, considered the GOAT of all time, he had to learn how to do it. And in those battles, it was the Showtime Lakers, Celtics, Bad Boy Pistons. So that turned him into a maniacal person that he had to take something from each of those squads. And I got to embark that on all 14 of y'all every day or we ain't going to get it done. I promise y'all, it will not happen. Y'all don't understand. I done been up against giants. Y'all got to do this.
Yeah.
And how does it make you feel that years later, it seems like everything that we always dream about having in sports, like winning championships. Look at Scottie Pippen. He should be celebrating this. He not happy right now.
Yeah.
Horace Grant ain't happy right now. Jerry Krause wouldn't be happy right now, and they ain't cool. And we can tell that they not. Like, as somebody that's been on the Yankees and had the success that you had, and they've won, you guys have won more championships than anybody. Are the relationships that – can they be that fractured in order to get to the bottom goal?
I never seen it like that. Like I mean, and you know, I was around the core four, and I seen the love that they all have for each other, still have for each other. I mean, and you know, they won 5 championships together. So, you know, seeing that and then being around them, and then watching the way Jeter led. I mean, it could be done in different ways. That was just the way he felt like he had to do it. You know what I'm saying? And even at the end, you can tell that he knew it was wrong when he's crying at the end and saying, you don't have to play like that. That's the way I did it, but you don't have to do it like that. You know what I'm saying? You could tell that shit hurt him to his core. He probably wanted better relationships. He probably wanted to be a better teammate, but just didn't know how to do it and still win. You know what I'm saying? Like, winning was at all costs. Relationships, everything. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered other than winning the championship. And as an athlete, you got to have some respect for that. But as a man, as a person, you got to feel for him too, because you can tell he probably wanted better relationships than he has now with some of those teams. And, you know, they probably should be they should be celebrated all over the world, those Bulls teams. They should be going on vacations together, hanging out, doing different things that I see Mo, Andy, Jeet, and Sato doing. You know what I'm saying? So it's a tough thing, but, you know, I mean, that's like he said, you don't have to play it like that. That's just the way I did it.
See, what's interesting about that, though, Jalen, I'll throw this to you. Do you think there's something endemic about the sport of basketball that makes it more likely for that to happen because one guy can have such an impact and influence? Like, Derek Jeter can be a top 3 shortstop of all time. He's not winning any championships unless he also has his starters, his closer, right? Like, whereas, like, because if you think about it, I mean, I feel like we've seen it in stages, right? People criticize Michael for being like that, and then all of a sudden, Kobe was like that. People criticize Kobe for being like that. And all of a sudden, LeBron was like that. And people criticize LeBron for being like that.
I don't think LeBron is like that as much as Kobe and MJ, though.
Maybe not, but he calls out his team. I mean, he'll very publicly say, you know, we need other guys here. You know what I mean? Like, he has no problem saying that.
But he'll do it in a way that, like anybody will. He'll do it in a way like he'll tell you to his face that. Your face that. You know what I'm saying?
But I think Jordan and Kobe would too.
Yeah, I guess
I don't know, Jalen, what do you think?
In basketball, if you have a superstar, like, people use that term so very loosely. Yeah. But usually, if you look back at the history of the game, at some point he's gonna win a championship. Like, somebody that's considered like the best players in basketball win championships. Like Barry Bonds, I believe if he was on the Yankees, he would have won a World Series. Yeah. I felt like he had his times to be the best player, but so the dynamics change in basketball. He becomes a meteor in the room. Okay, you're building around his strengths and you're trying to mask his weaknesses at all times. Where is he strong? Where is he weak? All right, we need more rebounding. We need more defense. We need more shooting. We need more height. We need whatever is going to make him function at his maximum. And so having that guy in basketball now gives him that level of power, because at the end of the game, he got the ball. Mm-hmm. So, like, I played with Reggie and I made a million big shots. But at the end of the game, when Larry Bird had the clipboard, he was drawing a play up for Reggie. Now, if it ended up being something else, that's what it turned out to be. But if he swung it to me and I missed a shot, they're going to go to him and ask him why he passed it to me. You know what I mean? Yeah. And if so you can't really win in that instance. So now if I'm going to get all of the credit I see and all the blame,
I might as well take the shot.
Correct. And so that's where like MJ. You remember in The Last Dance, he on the dream team with Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, Clyde Drexler. He like Ahmad was like, so at the end of the game, well, who will take the last shot? He like me. Like
fuck you talking about? I'm taking the last
shot. Right? No hesitation, no gray area, nothing. That's why Kobe, like, if it's 3 guys on me, I'm still gonna shoot it. Hey, I was like that too. I'm like, I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what makes it different. But if you have that guy, you can ride his coattail to greatness.
And I even think too, like, not being a leader where KD, obviously, I mean, it was obviously Steph and, Draymond's and those guys' team, but he was the most talented player. And I think whatever happened and went on with him would affect everybody, even though he wasn't the leader of the team, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? I think basketball is a little different in that way where the best player, everybody just defers to the best player, and his mood and the way he handles things is kind of the team's mood. It just is what it is. You know what I'm saying? You see it in Philly with Embiid. Like when he's in a good mood and playing well, they rolling and everybody's happy. And then when he's not, it's did we trust the process too much and blah, 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 blah. Like people start chirping. So I think just naturally in basketball, when it's the most talented player, they set the mood for the team.
Absolutely. And I will give you a couple of what ifs. You just reminded me of one that I didn't think of. I have 3 what ifs. Because one is, what if Shaq would have stayed with the Lakers? They had won 3 straight. Mm-hmm. Kobe won 2 more without him. He won 1 more without Kobe. That's 3 more, so that's 6. So I believe they at least got 6 or 7 together.
For sure.
Right? What if LeBron would have stayed in Miami? That's why, to me, if he would have achieved what they were supposed to achieve, and it didn't have to be not 5, not 6, but if they would have got like 4, then I'd have been like, okay, he can kind of look MJ eye to eye and we can really have this argument.
Yeah.
And then the other one you just said is KD staying with the Warriors. And so what happens also in basketball is sometimes the best player now, it's like, I won a championship, but I'm unhappy. So Kobe, rest in peace to the legend, valued his 2 rings without Shaq more.
Yeah.
LeBron valued his 1 in Cleveland more than Miami more. Yeah. KD's going to value 1 with the Nets than with the Warriors more. Yeah. That's why, as an old head of the game, I have to give these guys a little demerit when they team hop to chase championships, because that's literally what you just did. Yeah. And it's okay. Like KD should be happy, right? CC?
KD should be happy, no matter what. Like, it is what it is. He won 2. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was the best player. I mean, I feel like KD should more than anybody else, and even LeBron too, because they actually won those chips. Like, they were the best players on the floor when Miami was winning, when Golden State was winning. Like, so it is what it is. Like, I mean, hey. I hopped teams, but I was the best player on the floor when it counted.
It reminds me of a guy you have coming up on your podcast, Jalen, Damian Lillard, and what he says about not leaving, where he says, you take a look around the league and you see guys who are, supposed to be happy with the championships they've won, and you realize that maybe they aren't as happy as they thought they were going to be. So he's like, I'd rather stay here and try and get it, And
Absolutely.
I understand that.
We saw that happen with Dirk. Winning the way he did in Dallas, he'll get a statue for being there for 15, 20 straight years. Look at Tim Duncan. That's why when people start talking about like all-time great players, there's something when you're Tim Duncan and you're Michael Jordan, you go to teams that have never won championships and you have your dominant era and they don't win before or after you. That's crazy.
It's a good point. It's a
Like,
really
the
good
Spurs
point.
getting further away from it, not
Yeah.
closer.
True.
Yeah,
You
for
look at the
sure.
West. They not getting closer, and they lost Kawhi in his prime, and he back in the West.
Let me ask you this, because you just brought up something interesting. You're talking about end-of-game situations, and I always love this. You know, see, Jalen and I get to work with the great Hubie Brown on our NBA ESPN coverage, and Hubie always he tells some great stories about people asking him, why didn't this guy get the last shot? And him telling stories of, well, what they don't know is, you know, this guy's scared to death of the last shot. I drew it up for him. He just passed it up. You know, he's like, when you draw up the huddle at the end and everybody comes in and you see the guy whose eyes are down because he doesn't want anything to do with the last shot. Jalen, I'm just wondering, can you think of situations in your NBA career, maybe you want to name names, maybe you don't, on either side of that, where you're drawing up the last shot and there's a guy who, man, he just does not want that heat, or guys who are just like, hey, you better be drawing that up for me?
So on the side of knocking down the shot, I mentioned Reggie, no doubt, with the all-time great shooters. Ray Allen comes to mind, Larry Bird, guys I would want taking my final shot, Steph Curry. And the reason why I say each of those guys first is because they giving me efficiency, and each of them can catch and shoot and get it off quick.
Yeah.
They can pump fake and escape dribble and still get it off, and then take one or two dribbles and still like go towards the basket and make a play. That's why it's still hard to determine right now if like your best player, and Giannis is trying to do it now, can be a quote unquote big guy, because usually that's the guy you got to give the ball in to make a play at the end. I'll give you some traits without naming names.
I like it. Yeah, give us the stories with John Doe is the name.
About the guys that don't want it. So
yeah,
this is what Hubie was basically telling you. There's certain guys like in the second quarter, and it's a sideline out of bounds, or they jab quick and get open. You can't deny them. Then the game started to get closer. All of a sudden, they can't get open. Can't get open. That's one. The other one, especially for guys that like to post up. CeCe, a big guy. He knew this. I used to be a stretch big in high school. Okay? Guys be open in the first quarter, second quarter, third quarter. Big position, wanting the ball, everything. Now, all of a sudden, you're getting denied, getting pushed off the block, 15, 18 feet away from the basket. You looking at the ref, you know, like, all right, I get it. The other thing is when you're supposed to run a play for a guy and he don't go as hard as he should for the action.
Yeah.
That's what Hubie was telling you. Like, okay, I tried to run a single double for this guy. I tried to run a flare for him in 3 games. He got stolen once, and he didn't get open the other 2. I got it. And then you got those other guys, and I'm proud to fall into this category. Not by no means am I a great player, but you have the guys that have irrational confidence. I'll name some like Jamal Crawford has irrational confidence.
J.R. Smith.
Lou Williams. Like, you can't tell Lou Williams he ain't better than LeBron. You can't tell him that. Right? You can't.
No chance. No chance. He wants that ball. Yeah.
Exactly. And so you can see it when certain guys start to get that bounce and starting to get aggressive with it. And a person that quietly does it now, and he just don't say anything, it's Kawhi. Kawhi been shooting these boys down these last couple of years and ain't been saying nothing. Went to Toronto, came off a knee injury, made that shot against the Sixers, bounced on the rim, had Embiid crying, played the Greek Freak 1-on-1, beat the Bucks, got to the finals. They won the chip. Then he grabbed Paul George and go to the Clippers.
He's another what if for me though. Like, what if he goes to the Lakers? You know what I'm saying? Then everybody's crying and the league's all fucked up again.
It is true.
You know what I'm saying?
It is.
What if he held the league in his hands?
He did.
Like, he could have did whatever he wanted to. And like, luckily for us, he chose to do the right thing.
No, I need to ask a LeBron question. Did Kawhi do the wrong thing, or was LeBron doing the wrong thing recruiting him? What do you think about that?
Nah, I don't think LeBron was doing the wrong thing recruiting him because of what he had just faced in Golden State with KD and, Clay and Steph. So I don't think, in his mind, and for a fan, I don't think he was doing anything wrong. He was just doing what he thought was necessary. You know what I'm saying? That's what it was taking to win at that point.
But you know what's funny, though? But if he wins a title with the Lakers now, without Kawhi, obviously, with Kawhi not being with the Lakers, but it is going to, in the annals of history, it is going to resonate so much more than if he would have recruited Kawhi so
successfully. He's going to have to get out of the West playing against Kawhi in the same building.
Which is going to make the championship mean even more if he gets it. You know?
He got to get out of the West, though, bro. Like, that's the problem.
You know what's funny about bringing up Kawhi like that, though, Jalen? People always ask me, you call games courtside. Like, who are the guys who stand out most to you? And you know this from going to games as often as you do sitting courtside. There are certain players that, as great as they are, when you watch them courtside, you're just like, whoa. That guy's a totally different level. I remember first time I watched Carmelo Anthony, I thought that. Like, I'd be like, okay, and I'd watch him up close. I'm like, okay, now I get it with that size and that jab step. But the guy who does that for me most in the league right now is Kawhi. When you watch Kawhi up close and you're just like, oh my goodness, this guy is, and you can tell what you're saying, Jalen, he wants the ball in those moments. Like, he is going after it, and he is in total control on both ends the whole game. Blows me away.
Absolutely. And I was talking to Charles Barkley about this. And here's a different thing from players that are clutch. How about guys that are playing hard all of the time? And the two guys that come to mind when was standing by the court, Kevin Garnett and Russell Westbrook.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Russell Westbrook, the year that he averaged a triple-double, I went to many of those games. I could feel his win as he ran by. He's the most athletic point guard that the game has seen.
Yeah.
He averaged a triple-double. I never thought somebody would do that since the Big O did.
Yeah.
And so, and then there are other guys that you marvel at their skill with their size. That's where the game changing. So it's like Greek Freak is, when we say big guy, he's big, but he's just slender, but he's 7 feet tall. Anthony Davis shooting threes. These guys are 7 foot tall.
Even KD, man.
KD too. Yeah. KD is unguardable.
Get used to this word with the Nets. KD in at center.
Right?
He gonna be playing a lot of that.
I've been looking forward to watching that.
Who is that next superstar guy you think like that hasn't won a championship that you said that walks in and he takes up all the? Is it Giannis? Is it James Harden? Who do you think that next guy is that needs to take the step to win the championship?
That's a great question. We can't dismiss that. I feel like if it's going to be somebody's era, this is Kawhi's chance to try to take it. I think him adding Paul George and the Clippers about to get their new building and the depth that they have, I feel like this is his chance to win 2 of the next 3 or, 2 of the next 4. So I see Giannis coming, and I love a young Tatum, and, Harden always going to get buckets. And you can't dismiss LeBron and AD, obviously. But if the Clippers are able to get by this year and win it, this becoming a Kawhi era.
Yeah. Especially winning in Toronto. You know what I'm saying? Taking a franchise that's never won. I mean, that's
in one season.
That's as big as LeBron winning in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
That's crazy.
It's as big as that. It's the same. It's almost the same.
Exactly.
Jalen, amazing stuff, man. Thanks for hanging out a little longer. I know you're up against it now, dude. So thank you, bro.
Good.
Thank you for being with us.